They that can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. What we're seeing is the battle for the soul of America. The beautiful, the star-spangled, greatest country ever. The last stand of passion of freedom. We can't fall here. The world needs us because we'd rather die on our feet than live kneeling. That's real, and every patriot knows the feeling. Too many gave their lives for these communists to steal it. No, I won't stop speaking, regardless of your feelings. Your haters keep dreaming. These words have meaning. From Texas to Boston, the flag's not a lost cause. They can keep scheming, screaming, but it's worth fighting for. From sea to shine to sea, shine a city on a hill. The eye of the storm is upon us, and I can't sit back with an honest conscience.
What up, what up? Welcome, welcome. Ecclesia in the house. Here we go, here we go. Oh my gosh. Alfred, it is good to be here. Thank you so much, and thank you to all you patriots out there. I want to give credit where credit is due. Right now, the intro was brought to us in part by, this is Acolyte, the Patriot. He's singing Soul of America. And oh my Lord, do we need some prayers and some worship to our God Almighty right now in this season, right?
Oh man, yes sir, yes sir.
On what's going on in America right now, we're going to bring you some truth and some straight facts and some honesty on conspiracy theories. That's the word that we're bringing to you today. And with my partner, Alfred, our partner in crime here, we're so happy to... Man, is the enemy on the prowl or what?
Prowl, bro.
If you guys understood the kind of technical chaos we received on the backside of this, but thank the Lord that he gave us a gentleman, Alfred, here with such technical, knowledge.
Praise the Lord, man. All glory to God, and he takes all the glory. Hey, listen, for the most part, as we got here, we're actually an hour delay. You know what I mean? We actually start our show at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But you know what? We got to tell people how it is. We got to tell you that, hey, we're not only here in the battle for the soul of our country, but we're also in a spiritual warfare, bro. We're in a spiritual warfare where the enemy wants to take control.
Preach.
Hey, we had a little quick difficulties. I never done this before. I've kind of been working around with programming and things like that. I was explaining to Albert, bro, I don't know how to do these streams and all this stuff. It's all new to me. But guess what? I just told him, I said, you know what? I'm just going to trust on God. You know, a gentleman drives from all the way from down South Central.
right. Oh,
Where are you from? Where are you about? I mean, you're out there.
I'm by Pasadena.
Yeah, bro.
Up there.
He's in the outskirts, so he's kind of like in LA. He's in the LA area, kind of like on the northeast of LA.
Yeah.
So, just to give you a little, a lot of folks that are plugging in are for the most part are like, bro, I know where LA is. Yeah, you only know South Central, Watts, and then and Hollywood where the sign is, and that's it.
That's
all right?
about it.
But when you start going
Maybe
into
Venice Beach.
Venice Beach, Santa Monica, but when you start going into all these other nice places, man, Pasadena is an awesome. So I was we were discussing on text, and for the most part, man, help us out. We are trying out a new program, and so we want to know how we're listening, how our sounding abilities are working out. Are you guys able to hear us good? Are you guys able to hear us okay? Give us a message. Go ahead and reach out to us and just say, hey man, you're sounding great. You're looking great. It looks fantastic. Well, guess what? We learned a program. I was telling Albert, we learned something that I've never done before in under 30 minutes, and I had to program everything, including from cameras, images, and all this stuff, including the sound, the music that you hear in the background. Man, give it up to EKKLESIALIVE, the Patriot, man. This song is bumping. It's called "The Fight, the Soul for America." So
Yeah.
man, there's a
Soul
lot of stuff going on. But Albert, thank you so much, man, for being patient. You came through. You stuck it with me. I've seen people just say, "Dude, I'm out." When the battle gets when it gets scarier, as we say, people say, "Bro, I'll come back," but
you can't tuck your tail and run on these issues. I mean, look, we got to get this word out. We have such good word right here that we're going to bring to you guys. So a lot of truth, a lot of historical facts that honestly, even prior to this research, it didn't even dawn on me the amount of conspiracies that actually became true. They're not just theories, but I think one thing that also needs to be spoken is that conspiracies, it just means to conspire. It means a thought about conspiring. It doesn't make it false just because it's conspiracy or just because it's a theory. The theory of relativity is a theory, but there's truth to it. There's science behind it. So just because you hear, all right, these are signal words, conspiracy theory, all of a sudden you deem it as false or fake. That is not true. So I just want to start the premise there so that way we're all on equal ground and we understand just because you hear conspiracy theory doesn't mean that it's false. Unfortunately, we have a certain political party, the Democrats, that have kind of hijacked that language, which we see them do all the time. And if you're seriously understanding the signs and the times and know what's going on in the season, you can come in agreement with that and know, okay, yeah, there's been manipulation with language, vocabulary, with words. And so when you start playing with words and stuff, for example, racist actually carried weight, but nowadays somebody says that you're racist, it just doesn't mean nothing. It just means that you just have a disagreement with somebody, and there's nothing wrong with disagreements. But now I'm telling you, now conspiracy theory, okay, doesn't mean that it's false. It can mean that it's plenty true, and we're going to go over some factual information right here.
Right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, all right, here we go. So I'm going to read off to you a few things here. And we're just going to get into discussion and topic with it, so please enjoy the program. We have this jam-packed show that you have kindly prepared for us with some facts, with some truths. Our behind-the-scenes team has come up with such a great word and some historical evidence, all right? And all these things will be added in the show notes, so you can go back and look these things up, as we always encourage you guys to go back and look at some of these truths. So we have been through some great conversation even prior to all this programming stuff. We had some really good conversation about conspiracy theory, and it's really been on our heart, and a lot of breaking news has been coming out this week about conspiracy theories, including the Wuhan CCP virus, right? The Chinese Communist Party virus that's come out, right?
Yep.
And so all these things are coming out. So from the conception of this great nation, right, the United States, our founding fathers knew that at one point a government could launch attack on its own, okay? And if you don't believe me, then even look at those people in Venezuela. You can look at China, Russia, and North Korea, and so many others, okay? It happens. But thankfully, our founding fathers left an unchangeable constitution, all right, the Bill of Rights, all right, but we have been having some trouble with corruption as of late, especially, but not only as of late, but even past, and we're going to talk about those things. It's sad because that's when the decaying of our nation really starts creeping in, when people start losing the focus, right, on who our founding fathers, what our founding fathers left behind, such precious documents. We have politicians taking advantage of constituents such as you and I, right? But that's not why. But that's why it is so important to do your own research. Okay. Fact: the meaning of politicians is to follow one who is actively involved or skilled in politics, especially one who holds a political office, one who deceives or outmaneuvers others for personal gain, one who is versed in the science of government and the art of governing, and one who is skilled in politics. Okay, that could be either for the good or for the bad. All right. Conspiracies occur all the time, and for better or for worse, they're a fact of life. Every so often, a once labeled crazy conspiracy theory ends up panning out, guess what, and proving the crazies who believed in them were right all along. That's amazing, and that's a good word for all of us. So we know that some of the things that we even believe in at times, and they're actually true. They come true. Like I said earlier, the Wuhan, right, virus, it turns out, look, the senators just came out recently this past weekend, and they have a video out there, which I actually got banned for, right? I got hit on Facebook saying that that's like causing harm or whatever like that. So they actually forced me to take it down. They took it down for me. How nice of them. And they don't want me spreading any misinformation, even though it's an actual open statement, a mic statement that they gave at the Capitol, the senators saying that they're going to open investigation into the Wuhan lab theory that is actually panning out to be true, thanks to a lot of emails found by our little buddy Fauci.
Hey, I'm laughing because, listen, for the most part, in recent years, we have seen the biggest conspiracy theories in our lifetime. For example, the Russian collusion. Do you guys remember? There was a huge thing about, in the news, and that they kept on pushing for about 3 years. They kept the nation throughout the Trump era. There was a Russian collusion that, hey, he collided. He used manipulated to get into and works with Russia. But yet again, the current administration, we have he closed out the XL pipeline, right? And now he's opening up the Russian pipeline. So isn't that kind of something to be true about? Working with Russians to create things that are beneficial to who? To Russia. So we start looking at these examples. For the most part, we start seeing that, hey, the own Democratic Party had been stuck for 3 years working on this Russia collusion, and at the same time, we're starting to see that we start seeing the realization that these people are not for American values. The Democratic Party is not for democratic. They're not for conservatives. They're actually against conservatives. Think about it. Everything that they're pushing, narratives, lies, bro, it's all about fight for power. But we're starting to see there's a lot of patriots that are waking up and are starting to smell the coffee, as we say, and in good time. Because guess what? A lot of these conspiracy theories need to be confronted with what? With truth. You know what I mean? And us, people of faith, and even that, conservatives and people that believe in just being just, doing the right thing, we need to stand up to this. For example, the latest conspiracy theory was the insurrection on January 16th. January 6th, right? And this is something that they've been pushing for, that says, hey, well, Trump incited violence, and yet again we have Maxine Waters that is inciting violence in Atlanta. In voting, and it's scaring people off, inciting violence, and you have her saying in plain view in videos, saying that how they need to be confrontational towards people that don't believe or don't think the same way they are. And that's straight out, double standards. We're starting to see the hypocrisy that is being created here by who? By this system or this Democratic Party, right? The Insurrection Act. And then it says, then we now have the newest one, which is the attacks to border rights. We're starting to see that, hey, now states are buckling down, right? And they're looking at the legislative level to see what went wrong with the borders, or even that with voting integrity. And guess what? Now there's some of these legislators or state legislators that are working closely to change some of the voting, that potentially can modify some of these votings, not in a way where it's going to impact voting, but again, make it harder for people to take advantage of what we just saw in 2020. And here we are, we have the liberal pack coming out, including big tech and all these news outlets, saying that now, that because of these changes, they're attacking, the border rights. But the reality, if you think about it, they're attacking what they just stole. Mm-hmm. Which was the election. And some people are not saying it, right? And then I was telling Alfred, as soon as we were getting my notes, I said, Alfred, there's a lot to talk about today, but I think elections was one of the conspiracy theories that we were going to talk about. But it has so much, and there's so much going on right now that we just say we're going to save that bad boy for later, but we're going to talk about this. But the reality of this is, listen, we are seeing this through the past and things that we're going to be sharing with you in regards to conspiracy theories. And all of us need to be up in our game, meaning we all need to be looking into these things, validating who's leading us, who's telling us. And some of these things we're going to be sharing with you in after the show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Where do you get your news source or whatever? That's so good. So we're just going to get into it. So number one, the U.S. government poisoned alcohol during the Prohibition. I don't know if you guys knew this, but this is interesting facts. Prohibition was introduced in 1920 to control the country's alcohol consumption, but that only resulted in widespread speakeasies and bootlegging, which is the illegal production and distribution of alcohol. That speakeasy, your little whisper word, the behind the door, you do the special knock, and you get into these little underground bars and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So you could do your alcohol, drinking and stuff. The Prohibition law proved proved it wasn't enough to curb drinking habits. If anything, it just made it go underground in actuality. So the government took more drastic measures. They decided to poison the country's illegal liquor supply by adding toxins, including highly lethal methanol, to alcohol in the mid-1920s. In total, it is estimated around 10,000 people died as a result of the government's poisoning of this alcohol. Crazy.
Wow, man, that is crazy. So guess what? Who did it, Albert?
Yeah, government.
Okay, all right. So we're just trying to get, hey, we just want to make, just spit facts, because, some people are going to come back and say, where did you find that? Look, do your own research. Find it. It's everywhere. Uncle Google has it everywhere. All right, so you just gotta dig deep. All right. The second one, it says, hey, just a couple of years, just before Trump took on office, there was a huge battle. There's a huge celebration because we were gonna have the first lady president of the United States. But guess what happened? Trump came into office, and that dream,
thank God,
that dream kind of fell off. But guess what? In the history, there is actually one lady that actually acted as a president of the United States. In 1919, President Woodrow Wilson suffered from a massive stroke. So the first lady, who, Edith Wilson, began making decisions on behalf, on his behalf. She prevented news of the decision. She prevented news of the seriousness of Woodrow's condition from getting out to the public. Instead, all that was said was that he needed to rest, and then he will be conducting official business from his bedroom suite. That to prevent her husband from re-signing, Edith became the de facto president. Historians estimated that she led the country for a year and 5 months. So guess what? So for some of you that think that there was not a woman ever to run the country, well, in 1919, Edith Wilson actually took the charge for about a year and 5 months, and she became, the de facto president around the time when her husband was sick.
Yeah, it helps to have a strong woman along your side, right? I think it's biblical, right?
True.
To have that Proverbs 31 woman, right, by your side. So, number 3, the U.S. government used dead body parts of infants and children for radioactive testing without permission. Again, this is a conspiracy theory that is actually true. Check this out. In the 1950s, the United States Atomic Energy Commission started testing tissue samples from newly deceased children and babies to test radioactive strontium 90, the most severe threat to humans in the event of nuclear fallout. Throughout Project Sunshine, okay, remember that, Project Sunshine, they gathered more than 1,500 samples throughout Europe and Australia, often without the parents' knowledge or consent, to test the hazardous effects on young human tissue. Crazy. Years later, a British woman named Jean Picard reported that she hadn't been allowed to dress her stillborn daughter's body for the funeral in 1975. It's crazy. Because she, as she later found out, she would find out this later on, her baby's legs had been removed by British doctors and shipped to the U.S. government. No one asked me, quote, she says, now she's upset. She said, no one asked me about doing things like that, taking bits and pieces from her, she said. And I don't blame her. These are parts of your child. This is disgusting.
That's true. Hey, we got somebody that's sending a message over there at the Fighting for Truth. Irene Casper says, but we are conspiracy theorists.
That's right.
That's excellent. And you know what? And the truth of the matter is that, listen, we are this nation, every since if you start looking in the 50s, the 40s, and the 60s, our CIA operatives, created a lot of theories. I mean, a lot of conspiracy theories. For a fact, one of them that we all remembered was, the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they said that it was Cuba, and then there was a lot of theories that were thrown out there. Who could have been? Even that we had what's his name? Lee Oswald, who was
Lee
actually
Harvey Oswald,
who was apprehended, and he was saying that he was in a state of mind. But think about it. At the end, there was just so much stuff that was going on. Then we had a huge conspiracy theory that was thrown out that says that the mob actually took him out.
Yeah.
Because they felt that, threatened by him because of
That's
the
when the
policies.
FBI started using the term conspiracy theory. They were throwing it out there, making it sound like it's crazy talk.
Right.
Once you start manipulating language, you know that the jig is up. Something's going on. There's something there. Okay.
Exactly. So for the most part, yep, I believe I'm with you. We're 100% conspiracy theory. Which part are we part? Are we number 4?
I think we're on number 4. Yeah.
Number 4. Hey, well, listen, let's get into the sports. So did you guys know that there's conspiracy theories in sports? Well, guess what? One of them that we found, and it's said to be true, that says playing football can cause brain damage. Actually, when a massive organization like the NFL doesn't want the story out, it will surely do everything that it can to keep the evidence hidden. This was indeed the case with the linking of football to brain damage. In 2002, forensics pathologist Bennett Amalu ruled that the professional football player Mike Webster's death was due to a football-related brain damage. But the NFL strongly dismissed these claims. However, 7 years later, the NFL finally did acknowledge what? That the claim that the NFL strongly dismissed the claim. However, several years later, the NFL finally did acknowledge that the link between players and concussions and brain damage. This earned Dr. Amalu the American Medical Association's highest honor in a movie about him called Concussion, starring Will Smith.
Yeah, Will Smith. I remember when that film came out, but honestly,
movie?
I didn't see it.
Oh,
I did not see that one, honestly. But I saw a great other amount of Will Smith's films. He's pretty good. That's interesting, though, because they would actually wait. They would wait for a while and then agree, like, okay, yeah, there is some relation, there is some correlation right there. And what happens is that when you do that, it becomes water under the bridge. And, the time has passed, the uproar, the anger, whatever has already passed. And so therefore dropping truth or coming in agreement with it, it's less damage to your company. And you can kind of wipe your hands of it and be like, oh, you know what? I guess there was. Anyways, moving on. And so they move on to the next shiny thing. Think about that, okay? That's not okay, okay? How about when the CIA secretly gave LSD to unsuspecting individuals to test mind control? Actually, there's quite a few people that understand this. They know about this, all right? So from 1953 to 1964, the CIA secretly dosed individuals with LSD to test the potential effect of mind control during this practice called Project MK Ultra. Okay, remember that. Thousands of U.S. citizens were given LSD without their knowledge or consent. In 1973, the CIA director, Richard Helms, ordered the destruction of all records related to MK Ultra. That sounds like something in like Avengers or something. MK
Right?
Ultra.
Right?
That sounds crazy, but it's true. This is
Mortal
true.
Kombat?
So now there's a very little evidence that remains, but this immoral research was likely responsible for some resulting deaths. It sounds like the Clintons would be involved in something like this. One of the most notable was that of Frank Olson, a United States Army biochemist and biological weapons researcher who was given LSD without his knowledge or consent in November of 1953. You know what? This kind of reminds me of like not to make fun of it or nothing, but like Avengers. Okay, so or like Hulk, right? Or Captain America.
Definitely.
Listen, when those actual original comics were created by Stan Lee back in the day, know the guys that a lot of these things are created. It's kind of like art imitates life, and so some of these things were created because of what was going on at the time. So if something was going on at the time, like superhuman, genetic engineering and stuff like that, there was a high level chance of that was really the talk of the day. That was really going on. Same thing with Wonder Woman came on the scene. There was a great women's movement, and that happened in the comic world, and so on and so forth. You guys understand, genetic mutation, Incredible Hulk, what was going on at that time? There was genetic mutation and things that were going on. So this to happen coincide simultaneously when some of these comics were created, I don't think it's far-fetched idea. And there's truth to these conspiracy theories, as is evidenced in what we're reading right now.
Excellent, excellent. Hey, well, we got the number 6. For some of you, do you guys remember that the Gulf, back in the time, there was a huge, remember in the war back in 1964, it was a big deal, right? Vietnam. So remember the Gulf, and there was a huge conspiracy theory that actually popped up, and it's called the Gulf Tonkin attack that never happened. This in 1964, President Lyndon Johnson told the public that the U.S. ships were under attack by the Vietnamese, known as the Gulf of Tonkin attack, to gain the support of the American citizens for the Vietnam War. However, a year later, Johnson admitted that there was no attack and was quoted as saying, for all I know, our neighbor was shooting at the whales out there." In 2005, official documents from the National Security Agency were released that confirmed that the whole Gulf of the Tonkin attack never happened and was fabricated to gain support for what? For war. Reminds me of right? Another Gulf War.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. You know what? I mean, you can call me conspiracy theorist, whatever, since we're on the topic. But I don't know. I scratch my head and I kind of shake my finger at 9/11, to be honest. Mm-hmm. When you look at the implosion and how buildings like that, of that size and magnitude, can come down, I mean, I'm like, okay, was there some kind of inside job? I don't know. It just doesn't sit well. There's too many hands in the cookie jar and too many reasons to gain from that, sadly, from the death of so many Americans as well. So, but in the meantime, I am a patriot that is against terrorism of any kind, whether foreign or domestic. I'll tell you that.
Right.
So, number 7, 28 black men died of a terrible syphilis in the name of science. Ooh. You understand that? So, 28 of them. The Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male was a public health service study that began in 1932 and recruited 600 poor black men from Alabama as its subjects. That's kind of racist there. The men were told they'd receive treatment for bad blood, a colloquialism for syphilis, anemia, and fatigue, but they were misled. Researchers continued the experiment even after penicillin was proven to treat syphilis in 1945. The research finally stopped in 1972. That's a long time. 1972, after the New York Times published a story about the study titled "Syphilis Victims in U.S. Study Went Untreated for 40 Years." Over those 4 decades, 28 men died of syphilis and 100 more died from related causes. That is tragic, and that is news. There you go,
bro. I mean, think about it. This is a big deal. I mean, for the most part, right now we're hearing in the news. So when you hear the Tuskegee study, remember this is what they're talking about. You know what I mean? If you're talking about races, this is it right here. Mm-hmm. They went ahead and injected everybody with syphilis, and there was a cure, bro.
Yeah,
there was a cure. That's the sad part.
That sounds like hydroxychloroquine for coronavirus.
Exactly,
sad.
Right?
Yep.
Or ivermectin, what is it called?
Yeah, ivermectin or whatever it is.
Right? Yep. So some of you are gonna say, "Well, say it right, bro." Well, you guys know which one I'm talking about, right?
Amen.
So listen. So for the most part, listen. It all comes back to what? To government, bro. The CIA spied and controlled the American media. Duh.
Yeah, we're seeing it right now.
Oh my goodness. The CIA project known as Operation Mockingbird spied on members of the Washington Press Corps. Starting in the early of 1950, as part of the operation, they paid journalists to publish what? CIA propaganda. They said wiretap their phones and monitor their offices to keep tabs on their activities and visitors. The CIA paid students and cultural organizations as well as magazines to serve as the front organization. The cover operation was finally uncovered in the Senate hearings in the mid-1970s. Wow, bro. So think about this. If this was happening back in the 1950s, And then it moved on to 1920s unchecked for about 20 years. Think about what is going on right now.
Yeah, it took 20 years.
It took 20 years for them to finally say, yeah, that wasn't right. We shouldn't have done that. And by then, it's already been 20 years that potentially can have other kind of tools or, tapping wire equipment that are more sophisticated. Even maybe it could have been the 1970s when they invented Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
I mean, you never know, bro. Think about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to this. I mean, we see that right now. When you're talking about that one right there,
right.
It's all, we could all relate. Like, we all understand. We know, like, right now, like, either tapping your phone, all right, they can listen in. We all have done that. We were just talking about that,
Right.
Yeah, you got to be careful what you say around your phone or whatever. How is it that you're having a conversation with somebody about something, and then all of a sudden you look at your phone and you got ads about that very topic, and you guys all know what I'm talking about, right?
Exactly.
It's like, what? You serious? Yeah, they're listening, and that actually, it should not surprise us. What you said about Mockingbird, about media and everything, about coming in. Look, if you haven't been censored or banned or shadow banned or something on social media, Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or something, I'm telling you, that happens. It's truth. Yes, it does. It really does. And all you're doing is just sharing something that's actually factual. It's all coming out right now. Anything that you spoke against coronavirus, speaking of conspiracy theories, if you said anything that resembled Wuhan lab and there was man-made or anything like that, they shot you down, they pulled you down, they gave you an X on your score, they demonetized you on Facebook or YouTube, and they really came against us. I too was even a victim of that, and they fact-checked me up and down about stupid garbage all last year, and it turns out, we got senators right now coming to agreement saying, you know what? It's actually true. It's actually true. So conspiracy theory, yeah, okay.
Yep.
So we're moving on. Number 9, right? The U.S. Air Force researched using pheromones as a weapon. Now, this is funny. This is funny. And what... June and everything, I ain't gonna get into that, but it's just funny, okay? This conspiracy theory, which is actually true, gives a whole new meaning to the phrase "make love, not war." Hey. As the U.S. Defense Department, check this out, considered various non-lethal chemicals meant to disrupt enemy discipline and morale. One of them was the gay bomb.
Wow.
The research, which was conducted in 1994, guys, 1994, was intended to create a bomb that would douse enemy troops in female pheromones. The objectivity was to make soldiers sexually attracted to one another and negatively impact their effectiveness in combat. However, it was never pursued. Interesting.
Goodness. So think about it. Wow, bro. Are we taking it that? Are we really investing that much money towards this? In 1994, bro. This is what? How many? About 20, more than almost 20 years ago. Wow. All right.
Yeah, it's almost 30 years ago, dude.
30
almost
years ago. Well,
yeah.
I was a little off, but sorry about that. Hey, but listen, number 10, man, and this is the big one. This is the one that we've been talking about. This is the one that, right now is rattling the cages for the most part. You guys are seeing it everywhere. But remember, Wuhan lab created a bioweapon called what? SARS-CoV-19. Back in 2020, the mainstream media had a field day mocking the lab leak theory. CNN Jake Tapper said the following. This is his words, all right? It should be put, and look at the. Just want you to pay attention to the words. Put the. He said the following. He says, "Put the where am I? Hold on, man. This phone just turned off on me. It says, put in the conspiracy theory bucket." This is quote unquote what he said. The following, the New York Times called the fringe theory. The Huffington Post call it a debunk fringe theory. The Washington Post describe it as a conspiracy theory that was already debunked. And the news sites and social media platforms cut and paste the same hasty dismissals, claiming that the lab leak hypothesis was unscientific, a right-wing fantasy, racist, anti-Chinese, and based on political motive lies. The roll call of the mainstream media who repeated these lines will fill the rest of the article. But in May 2021, world-renowned scientists, science writers, and the WHO are demanding a fresh investigation on the coronavirus lab leak theory, saying it needs to further study the lab leak theory. This says the lab leak theory has gone mainstream and remains plausible. Even Reuters says that it cannot be ruled out. And the president of the United States is now calling for a fuller and more transparent investigation into the origins of the SARS-CoV-2, reversing his administration's shutdown of Trump era and the State Department in 2020 probe into the origins of the COVID-19. Today, May 28th, 2021, Facebook also lifted its ban on posts claiming that the COVID-19 was man-made. Albert, bro, this is a big deal. For about a year, the Titans, the CCP media platforms, I call them the CCP media platforms, has shut down this narrative that it could actually been coming from a man-made, and it took them a year and some change to finally come up and say, yep, it could possibly be. Now they're not blocking it. Now they're allowing you after how long? Almost a year. And that's saddening. He says this is very embarrassing for all journalists and social media sites that blocked, banned, ridiculed, and failed to report the theory, and all the big tech companies who downgraded it on their search engines and apps. But in addition, if an entire subject can be morphed from crazy conspiracy theory to plausible over the less than a year, doesn't that destroy the argument that conspiracy theories are dangerous and should be banned? How can we investigate subject that has been censored out of existence? That's a good question. How can we investigate something when they're blocking it and not allowing you to speak on behalf of it? Think about it. We had doctors that came in here, CCP YouTube that was banning scientists and doctors for speaking on behalf, even the cure, even the medicine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And now, look at who's laughing now. Who's laughing now? Is this really a conspiracy theory that has killed 3-point-something million people and nobody wants to investigate, and it continues? And now you really want to investigate after we had scientists? Where is trust in science? Or is it just a particular group of scientists like Fauci? What happened? What happened to this nation? Are we here to fight for power? Or are we here to fight for the well-being of the constituents and citizens of this nation? That's a good question to ask our current administration and our CCP social media platforms that have pushed us, or pushed this particular conversation about the coronavirus leaking out of a Wuhan laboratory in China, and no accountability on any level to express, and all, think about around the world, so many people have died and nobody's saying anything. It's kind of like, oh, okay, well, now consider it could potentially happen now, and there's no accountability.
You know what's dumb is that we end up fighting or bickering with one another.
Yep.
Vax, no vax, mask, no mask. We fight about all these different things. Okay, fine. They may have their place and all, but at the end of the day, why aren't we all collectively upset, regardless of whether you're mask or no mask or vax or no vax? Why are we all not upset at CCP? And we're not talking about Chinese people. Like you said, they called it racist or whatever.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with people. You need to understand. I even had people attack me on social media. Oh, racist, this and that, whatever. Don't call it Chinese virus. It's not about Chinese people. It's not like we have anything against Chinese. And Trump never had anything against Chinese people or their, their culture. it was about the Chinese Communist Party. And you need to understand, the Communist Party in China is not Chinese. Bro, I'm telling you, they are, I mean, yeah, they may be of Asian descent, yeah, but the ideologies, I'm talking about communism, it is not of Chinese origin. That they don't even want Buddhism in China. They don't even want their culture in there. They've torn down even temples erected in Buddhist temples. They've had them removed and destroyed. You guys don't know that? You know, it's not just churches, not just buildings with crosses on them. It's not. Sadly, a lot of them are, but they just don't want any religion. So when he says Chinese Communists or CCP, when we say that, it's not Chinese people or their culture or the nation itself. It's the political party that has hijacked that country, that is now trying to beat down the door of Hong Kong even, and trying to get them to get on their knees and submit. That's why you see so many uprisings. That's why you see so many protests over there that you might hear about. If you haven't heard about it, then do some research. Look into it. But where are you getting spoon-fed your information? Look for these things. And so anyways, I say these things like, look, yes, China is very capable of doing these things. And many of us who know in the spirit, that see in the spirit, that understand the time and the seasons, and have great discernment, you don't need CNN to spoon feed you when it's time to say, okay, it is China, or when it's not. When you know, it's that gut instinct, then you just know. And you know that something doesn't smell right. It's just something's not right in the air. Okay?
Right.
Don't be ignorant. Don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Yes, and see, and that's why we're in this. That's why we're in this situation to begin with, because a lot of us have trusted our media to sell us conspiracy theories and to really throw us feed us lies. You know what I mean? We'll trust. You know, where it's funny because I'm saddened because the truth of reality is we have family that are paying attention to this nonsense, and we're not even speaking on any terms, because even believers, church believing people, you know what I mean? They've taken this division between the political party and the realm of what's going on, destruction, because of the agenda that has been presented to us to destroy this nation, socialist, communist. You know, the tactics that they're using now. It's back in 1953, bro. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of the things that were used back in the book. Think about it. You know what I mean? If we control the media, we control everything that we can feed on people. Communist Manifesto number 6. So think about it. This is what the media has been pushing on, the narrative to create division between us. And then now they're using the racist card, between us, and saying, oh, the white man hate us because they're in control. Believe me, this is something that we had for years. But the reality, if you look at, our DNA of the founding fathers, man, we start seeing that everybody that comes from crossing the border, they have an equal opportunity. Even now. Some of the laws that we have now are not even impacting them, and there's some people that are getting fed off the government now, even if you don't have any documents, right? Look at how merciful this land is, this country is. That even though you land here, you're taken care of. You have medical, you have dental, you have vision, you're provided for. You have some allowances. You have people that are getting cards to get money. Think about it. And now you're saying you're racist. Even that, they'll point fingers and say even your own people could be racist, right? And they start creating these wrong narratives in regards to our Latino community, our minorities, our Asian, our blacks. But the reality, they don't live where we live. They don't live in our neighborhoods. They're only looking for us on the top of the outskirts. They're only looking from the top of the mountain down. But we're the ones who are hustling here. We're the ones who are working. But guess what? A lot of people are awakening, and that's a good thing for America.
That's such a good thing for America. It brings a sense of hope, and hope comes through Jesus Christ and Him alone. And as we go out and we share the gospel, we hope that people will gain that, and hope, and that they don't have to rely on governmental systems of man. Okay.
Right.
So, and back to our order of list. All right, we're wrapping it up here. Number 11. Another new world order conspiracy theory that is actually true is the communist world domination conspiracy. Okay, a theory both much believed and much desired during the McCarthy era in the United States. The Communist International Comintern, I guess, was indeed a cabal of conspirators planning world domination, who held 7 international meetings between 1919 and 1943. The plans involved internationally funded front organizations which aim to spread revolt, cause general strikes in developing and colonial countries, and infiltrate reformist parties in the West. And ironically, though, by the time of Joe McCarthy's Red Scare, the Comintern no longer posed a real threat. Still, from what is communism, propaganda, public service announcement, United States, 1963. The CIA and M16 also meddled in the Middle East on a number of occasions, from 1953 coup that overthrew Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh to the Iran-Contra affair of 1987. Such meddlings constitute cabal-like conspiracies to control other nations and influence the future of global trade, economics, and political hegemony. Whether the plotters met in smoke-filled map rooms or over international video conferencing, Western nations continue to conspire for control over the Middle East and its resources. If you can unsettle a people group, unsettle a nation, and bring uprising in that region or in that area, you have more likely ability to be able to come in. In other words, if you create an issue or a drama or something, you can come in with the solution, and guess what? You are that solution, and therefore they must succumb to you, so you have greater influence over people. I'm telling you, China is doing that right now in the Middle East, as there's much unrest in Syria and all kinds of other places in the Middle East. Here comes China, big brother. Here, you let us set up base, you let us set up missile camps and air bases. We'll give you financial aid. We'll help you out. That is their tactic. That is what they're doing right now. And we're seeing it happen right now under our noses even.
Yep. Excellent. But listen, we heard of all these 12, man. We told you guys how many? 11
total.
So we told you something that's happening in the secular world, right? But how about the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
You know, have we ever noticed, what does the Bible say? Yes, we understand that, we live in a fallen earth. We politicians are taking control, cabal, style. Yep, we've seen it. For some of us, we didn't believe it, right? Yeah. Albert, you and I, for the last 3 years, bro, we kind of been rough awakening, right? It's kind of, we've been in a sleeper zone, and all of a sudden somebody woke you up like this and shook you up and say, hey, bro, they're taking over us, and you're just like, what the heck? What's going on? You know what I mean? That's us. Because we weren't political, bro. We weren't political. We just, follow our church. We were just in work. We're just influencing people.
To be honest, Alfred, I actually, after Barack Obama's first term,
yes,
within about 6 months, mm-hmm. I was already kind of knowledgeable in politics mm-hmm. since Clinton. When Clinton first became president in 1992, right, and it was after Barack Obama, okay, when he got his first term, I knew that we made a mistake. I did vote for Barack the first time, and I knew right away, because he was going everything contrary to Scripture, contrary to the Word. And I'm not going to say I was some great saint of a Christian, I wasn't right. Some holy Christian, but I knew that something wasn't right. And so I began watching politics and looking and seeing, hey, man, I'm really not enjoying what this guy is doing. I think he's doing things shady, and he's really setting up an establishment to rein in such perversion and disgust, even in our own nation, and selling us off with all this money and devaluing our dollar, which, came by way of all that stimulus checks that he was throwing out at the beginning of his term. But anyways, right. Yeah. Yep. Then there was an awakening. There was a stirring up inside, especially with this last administration, Trump administration, when there was so much backlash against the man just for being who he was.
Exactly. And so we saw that we were, I know there was a saying out there, and some of you that are paying attention to what's going on in politics, but we were draining the swamp. Mm-hmm. So when we started hearing that saying that says we're draining the swamp, and we start seeing the creatures that lived inside the swamp, then we started to say, wow, you know what I mean? It reminded me, one time I saw a cartoon, and this is an awesome cartoon. The cartoon said it had a machine, right? It had one of those big old vacuums, right? A tray, one of those tractor vacuums, huge. And then you can tell that it was sucking out the water out of the swamp. And all of a sudden, you were able to see all the creatures that were creeping up out of the swamp. You know, like the what do you call all the politicians, all the rhinos, all the different characters, you know, and you started seeing them, all the tentacles, and you started seeing, you know, the Supreme Court and all this stuff.
All
and
the
I was Pelosi's and all this stuff. Yeah, and the Schumers
and the Nadlers.
You know, and that, so we saw it, and I was just kind of like, what the heck? You know, the reality was that, you know what? That cartoon itself opened up my eyes to wanting to know more. Albert, to be honest with you, yeah, I voted for Obama the last, you know, the last term. You know, under the line prefix that, hey, one more, you know, 8 more years, one more term, we're gonna make this right, blah blah blah. Continued, and we just felt more enslaved, you know, more enslaved from our own. And then when this happened with Trump, the first, you know, 3 years, I just started seeing the beast, as we say, come out, seeing the claws coming out of the beast, and I just said like, oh man, this is gonna be fun, because you know the not only the you know the MAGA movement was just, you know, was starting to wake up. We started seeing the rallies, and it continues. And I strongly believe that we're in that time where we're like, okay, what's next? You know, and some of us are still waiting. Okay, what's happening? We're seeing what's happening. We're seeing our nation be deteriorating, losing the jobs, high inflation. How's that gas for you, huh? How's the inflation going on for you, huh? How's the cost of living going out for you, huh?
That lumber, my gosh.
Huh? How about that meat, huh? How's that going out for you, huh? So the reality is like, hey, listen, I know that the 75 million that didn't vote for this, unfortunately, we're putting up with this. But the reality is like, we already knew. You know, we already knew the way the creature works. It's not fair. It does not work. And now they're you know, they're like somebody said, they're going for the jugular, and they're playing it for keeps, and they're going full on.
Oh, so yeah, they're exposed, so they got to move now.
Yep, they got to move. So now we're starting to see that, hey, what do we do? So what do we do? So the Bible tells us that, hey, back in let me jump into the notes. Stop asking questions, you guys. If we don't get back quickly. So it says this. Of course, the misinformation of the news. However, the Bible foretold that in our day, wicked men and imposters would advance from bad to worse, misleading and being misled. 2 Timothy 3:1 and verses 13 says, and the internet now allows us to receive and unintentionally spread false news more easily and quickly than ever. As a result, our emails and social media and news and feeds can become filled with distorted facts and half-truths, which is true, right? This is something that we know that, hey, the more you push, the more you start pushing, pumping into misinformation, or even that, you know, when they say the right wing are spreading misinformation, yeah, but who's actually throwing the information out there into these platforms that are pushing misinformation? Who has control of the platforms? Think about it. All right. So to think about it, says, how can you protect yourselves from misleading information and conspiracies theories? Consider some Bible principles that can help you. So we're going to tell you some Bible principles that can help you. Number 1, do not believe everything you see or hear. What does the Bible says? The naive person believes every word, but the shrewd one ponders each step. That's in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 15.
Yeah, you got to consider everything. You don't just be naive and just, okay, willy-nilly.
We'll take it. Yeah,
okay.
Which arm should I give you to vaccinate me?
Yeah, foolish. But yet nobody asked about that.
Sorry,
okay, yeah, it's so true. Ask yourself, is the content legitimate news or just a meme? You got to ask yourself. Evaluate the source and content. What the Bible says, make sure of all things, okay? 1 Thessalonians 5:21. These are biblical standpoints that we should be standing on. Before believing or forwarding a story, even one that is popular or repeated in the news, verify that it is true. How? Evaluate the reliability of the source. News media companies and other organizations may slant a story because of their commercial or political bias, okay? Compare what you see in one news outlet and other sources. At times, friends may inadvertently pass on misinformation through email messages or social media posts. Therefore, do not trust a news item unless you can check the original source. Okay, now I've been a victim of this. I have actually done that before. I forwarded off something that was not true, and I had to retract it. I pulled that down real quick, and I was like, you know what, my bad. Like, that was foolish. I didn't do the homework, and I learned my lesson. So make sure that the content is current and accurate. Look for dates, verifiable facts, and strong evidence to support what is being said. Be especially cautious if complex information seems to be oversimplified or if the report is designed to evoke an emotional reaction. Boom, right there, nail on the head right there. To evoke a emotional reaction. That is so true. We just talked about this actually before we went on the air. We were talking about January 6th and on how, I was saying that I think it was the New York Times on how they posted it on January 6th. Okay, the insurrection of the Capitol happened on January 6th, but that didn't happen until afternoon when Trump was done speaking on the grounds right there. And when that actually happened, the actual storming of the Capitol, the news was already reporting it at 9:30 in the morning. They posted it up on their website, 9:30 a.m. Okay, Eastern time. Boom, they had it up there, but they quickly had to take it back down. But it had already been released, and people had already taken snapshots and photos of it. You could find it if you Google, if you look into it, you could find it. And they actually posted it out there, saying that the Capitol is being stormed or whatever. How did that happen if that didn't already, if they weren't planning for it? Because that didn't even happen yet. The hour had not yet come, but yet they were already putting it out there. So people were already putting out misinformation already. But there was staged. It was staged, and there was an agenda there.
Yep, and this is our outlets. This is the outlets that you trust on. This is hours before even that. Think about it. President Trump had finished his discussion at 1:15 p.m. Eastern time. Well, there was already people at the Capitol at 12 p.m. So how did people get there so quick? So think about it. Unless it was staged, unless there was a motorcade that brought in people, and even then, there's witnesses that say, hey, people are showing up here from buses. Why are they showing up from buses when it's 2 miles away and they could be walking? Did they have a bus service? Then, I started asking more questions to Albert. Albert, I'm not going to incriminate anything, but I'm just saying, Albert, from people that were there, a couple of folks that you reach out to, he said, yeah, man, we had a couple folks that were there, and, the police officers were even removing the barricades. Why would they? Unless it was planned, right?
Eyewitness testimony. I know them. Yeah,
right?
They saw it.
So they saw it. So think about it. So remember, ask yourself, does the news report blur of a timeline? Remember, Trump finished at 1:15. People were already there at 12 p.m.
But they're reporting on it at 9:30 in the morning.
And they're reporting at 9:30. So this doesn't add up. Somebody is going to say that's a conspiracy theory, but look at the facts, all right? Between the facts and opinion, you present only one side of the story. Remember, when people are trying to present one side of the story, but then you have the others that are there that are presenting a completely different narrative that are there, then that's when you start questioning. Be guided by facts, not personal preferences. What does the Bible says? Whoever trusts in his own heart is stupid. Proverbs 28:26.
I love that.
You know what I mean? We tend to trust information that confirms what we want to believe. And the internet companies often customize our news and social media feeds to offer us information based on our own interests. Albert was just mentioning right now that there's certain times where his microphone on his phone turns on and his camera. Why are people looking at his camera and his microphone? Who wants to know about Albert? I don't know. But guess what? There's these companies that own our phones. Phones are owned by Verizon, T-Mobile, and all kinds of companies. Well, guess what? Since they own that, Apple, they're able to get into what they own, which is their applications. Look at their what do they call the what do they call the? You said
the terms and
conditions.
The
terms and conditions. Yes, thank you, Rob. Thank you. The terms and condition. You know what I mean? So when we start looking at these things, we have to remember look, make sure that we're looking at everything clearly. You know what I mean? Remember, the internet companies are customizing everything based on what you look. If you're looking everything that's Donald Trump related or conservative, they evaluate all this data. They have tons and tons of servers that are evaluating all this stuff, and they have analytics. They analyze everything.
Algorithms, baby.
The algorithms. They know what you're looking at. They know that's why I get VPN. You know what I mean? VPN. So you protect yourself from these big brothers and big techs. All right. So listen. However, what we like to hear, and it's not always what we need to hear. Sometimes it's important to understand what we like to hear is not always what we need to hear. So ask yourself, do I trust this information just because it's what I want to believe? Stop the spread of misinformation. Well, this is what the Bible says in regards to this. You must not spread report that is not true. Exodus 23:1 tells you that.
That's
Remember that the information you share with others has a powerful effect on their thoughts and actions. Even if you unintentionally pass on the wrong information, the consequence can be harmful. Albert just said it right now. He messed up. He released that information. He retracted himself, said, my bad, right? It happens. But remember, do your due diligence before you impact other people, because there's people that live off of social media and these platforms, and they believe they're gullible. They believe everything they see.
Yeah.
We see this now.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it so much. And so I tell people that even though that it may side with my own beliefs, it's like slow down and research some of that. Even in the Bible, I've had to do my own research and gone into some of the word, and because guess what? I don't always agree with everything in the Bible. My flesh doesn't want to agree. It's like, wait, I got to be married to one person and one person only. Oh man, I'm missing out on so much fun. No. The Lord put it in there for a purpose and a reason. My flesh may not enjoy that, but guess what? I do the research, and it's like, but I understand where that's coming from. I understand the truth behind it. However, conspiracy theories are still playing a bigger role in people's thinking and behavior, sadly, possibly more than ever before, says Shauna Bowes, a research psychologist. This is actually somebody with some smarts. Here is what you need to know about conspiracy theories. What is a conspiracy theory? A conspiracy theory is a claim that sinister and powerful groups have secretly plotted to cause a significant or tragic event. Why are they dangerous? Conspiracy theories can undermine the trust in legitimate sources of information, and some can cause people to reject health or safety advice. Such theories can promote prejudice and violence against the group thought to be involved in the conspiracy. Why are they so popular? Conspiracy theories increase in popularity during periods of widespread anxiety, uncertainty, or hardship, states the Encyclopedia Britannica, such as during wars and economic depression and in the aftermath of natural disasters like tsunamis, earthquakes, and pandemics. Oh man, at such unsettling times, people accept conspiracy theories because these theories validate what they believe or help them to understand why bad things happen, okay? And I think a big conspiracy theory that has been thrown out is that this is a natural monkey to human transmission, not a Wuhan lab conspired concoction of cocktail wizardry and of potions and of witchcraft and of virusness, but it is brought on by some animal transmission, which has not been proven at all. But yet viral load and what is that? What's the other thing that Rand Paul was accusing Fauci of, which turned out to be true?
He's talking about the gain
of function. Gain of function. Thank you.
Yeah,
gain of function and all that. Turns out that conspiracy theory is true because of his own emails that he put his foot in his mouth.
Dope.
Yep. So, and you can listen, guys, listen to even what Fauci was saying, how he was dancing around Rand Paul's questions on how he was saying, well, it wasn't in the United States. We weren't making anything in the lab over here. And he's like, no, that's what I'm saying. In Wuhan, like you put money forward for the Wuhan labs, and inadvertently in a third party system, you give money to Susie, but then Susie then inadvertently goes roundabout and gives the money to Wuhan kind of thing. That's what he's calling him out on. But yet he says, oh, I don't know anything about it. But once you follow the paper trail and you follow the emails, oh yeah, no, he knew all about gain of function and what he needed to do to help move that along. Yeah, manipulation, that's all witchcraft. Anything that has to do with manipulation and not truth is witchcraft.
Amen. Amen. So listen, this was a long show and we do apologize that it took us long, but the reality is that sometimes, as we mentioned to you, technology sometimes wants to fail and take control, but guess what? We prevailed. We came victorious in the name of Jesus. And guess what? We were able to provide some of this important information that you needed to hear. Listen, every week we're going to be connecting here. I want to give a shout out to the Fighting for Truth group. I know that they're putting up with us in that group, and we appreciate you guys, and we want you guys to be participators of everything. We want you guys to share this. Also, we want to give a big shout out to our the music writer. Right?
Yeah.
We got Kenneth Billers. I think he's got this song that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's called "The Fight for the Soul of America."
I think his stage name is Acolyte.
Yep,
Right?
Acolyte. We want to give him a quick shout out, and go ahead and find him on YouTube. And like his music, man. It's pretty good. I like it. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, it brings some truth. He's just telling you, like, hey, we gotta fight. We gotta fight for the soul of America, like we all gotta do, and fight for our children, for our freedom, for the Second Amendment, for the Bill of Rights, and for our Constitution, for the conservatives, and everything we believe. Most importantly, you gotta fight for God, and that's what we're here for. In Ecclesia, it's the gathering of us, people of faith, and we're gonna be victorious. All right.
Amen.
So we invite you guys to come in, plug in next week. Hopefully we will be on time and we don't have these issues. But thankfully, we appreciate you guys from plugging in. Thank you so much. Albert, you want to give a shout out before we leave?
Yeah, I just say God bless you. And you guys can find me on certain social media platforms.
Yes.
On YouTube at Al-B. All right. Or on Facebook, Albert Huerta. And Alfred, where can they find you on social media?
Man, you can find us on social media and under Transit Radio. We're actually just plugging in there. You also have I've been getting a lot of requests on my personal, but guess what, guys? As Albert mentioned, man, there's a lot of people that are just trying to. I don't even know some certain folks, and I believe I don't have the time to go through every single one. But the reality is that you guys will be able to find us directly from on the Transit Radio social platform, which is on YouTube. You'll find us under Transit Radio. We're also here on Facebook. Pretty soon we're going to be launching into Instagram, Gab. We're looking into Patreon. So we're looking into all these other platforms that we can just start pushing some of this content, because there's a lot of people that need to hear this.
Amen.
All right? So we'll see you here next week. Thank you so much. And remember, this was a show in regards to conspiracy theories that became what? Truth. You know what I mean? So help us share. You guys, we don't want to pay to Facebook to push on our content. We actually need your help. We're gonna take this grassroots. All right. What that means is like word of mouth. All right. Don't share this with people that don't are gonna get offended, because then they'll go back and report us, and it causes a big old strain with our social media platforms, because there's certain people that get offended by whatever you share. But remember, there's people out there that understand you, the common, as we call them, that understand about your faith, that understand about your views, that understand and stand firm and loving this nation. Share it with them, because those are the ones that are going to help us prolong this and project this to those people that need to hear it. All right.
Amen.
Thank you so much. We'll see you guys here on the next Ecclesia Live through Transit Radio. God bless.
God bless you.
They that can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. What we're seeing is the battle.